The rain fell in sheets, each drop a tiny hammer against the roof of my patrol car. It was past midnight when I pulled up to the Miller farmhouse. The place was dead quiet. Not even a cricket dared to chirp. Dispatch had called it in as a welfare check, but the heavy silence in the air suggested something far worse. The front door was ajar, a dark mouth inviting me into the shadows, my flashlight beam cut through the gloom, revealing a home that was too perfect, too clean. It felt staggered, like a dollhouse arranged for an unseen audience. Nothing was out of place, except for the profound absence of life. I moved through the living room, past the porcelain figurines on the mantelpiece, their painted eyes seeming to follow me. The air grew colder as I climbed the stairs. In the master bedroom, a leather-bound journal lay open on the neatly made bed. The handwriting inside was a frantic scrawl, looping and desperate. It spoke of a sound that wasn't a sound, something that listened from the space between noises. The last entry was just a single, jagged line, as if the writer's hand had been violently interrupted. A shiver traced its way down my spine. The journal felt like a warning, a desperate plea from beyond the veil. I pocketed it, the worn leather cool against my fingers, and headed back outside, drawn by an instinct I couldn't explain towards the hulking silhouette of the barn. The barn door groaned open on rusted hinges, revealing a cavernous darkness that seemed to swallow my flashlight beam whole. The familiar scent of hay and earth was soured by something else, something metallic and cloying. There, in the center of the floor, was Mr. Miller. He was sprawled on his back, his eyes wide and vacant, staring up at the rafters as if he'd seen the face of God and found it terrifying. His hand was clenched tight around a small, rusted bell. It looked ancient, its surface pitted with age and coated in a layer of grime. I knelt beside him, my breath catching in my throat. This wasn't just a welfare check anymore. This was a nightmare. Curiosity got the better of me. I carefully pried the bell from Miller's death grip. It was heavier than it looked, cold to the touch. As Primera stood up my hand, jostled, and the bell let out a single, discordant chime. It wasn't a clear ring, but a flat, toneless thud that didn't echo. Instead, the sound just hung de. Kung! It seemed to burrow into my ears, vibrating deep within my skull. The world tilted on its axis. The wooden beams of the barn twisted into grotesque shapes. My vision swam the edges, turning black. A pressure built behind my eyes, immense and unbearable. Then, the floor rushed up to meet me, and the world dissolved into nothing. I woke up to the sterile scent of antiseptic and the rhythmic beep of a heart monitor. The fluorescent lights of the hospital room hummed, a stark contrast to the oppressive darkness of the farm. A nurse told me I'd been found unconscious in the barn, suffering from what the doctors called an acute stress reaction. They said I'd collapsed, but I knew it was the bell. The sound was still there, a phantom echo at the edge of my hearing. They kept me for observation for a couple of days. They asked questions I couldn't answer about my stress levels, my family history. I told them I was fine, just overworked. But I wasn't fine. Something had followed me from that barn. It started with flickers in my peripheral vision, a shadow that was too long, a shape that moved when nothing else did. Then, I saw it in a reflection. I was washing my face in the hospital bathroom, and for a split second, looking over my own shoulder in the mirror, was something else. It was tall, impossibly thin, its limbs elongated like stretched taffy. Itad, no face. Justas mode. Pale expanse, where features should have been. He spun around, my heart hammering against my ribs. Nothing. The bathroom was empty. I told myself it was the medication, the trauma. But I knew I wasn't hallucinating. It was real. They discharged me, patting me on the back and telling me to take it easy. But taking it easy was impossible. The entity was my new shadow. I saw it in the reflection of shop windows as I walked down the street, in the polished chrome of a car bumper, in the dark screen of my television at night. It was always there, who's Ben-May, a silent observer in my own life. My apartment, once my sanctuary, became a prison. I covered every mirror, every reflective surface, but it was no use. I saw it in a spoonful of soup, in a puddle of rainwater on the pavement, in my own eyes. When I dared to look too closely, sleep offered no escape. My dreams were filled with the silent, featureless face and the dead, toneless chime of the bell. I stopped sleeping. I stopped eating. My colleagues at the precinct started to look at me with pity. 10 with fear. They'd whisper when I walked by. "Hale's losing it," I heard one of them say. "The Miller case broken." Maybe they were right. My sanity was fraying like an old rope, strand by strand. I'd find myself talking to it, whispering to the reflections. "What do you want?" I'd ask the empty air, my voice hoarse. There was never a response, only the oppressive silence and the phantom chime of the bell. Weeks bled into a month. I was a ghost haunting my own life, a wreck of a man running from his own reflection. I couldn't take it anymore. I had to get away, to go somewhere there were no reflections, no polished surfaces. I packed a small bag, my hands shaking so badly I could barely zip it shut. My service weapon felt heavy on my hip, a desperate, final option. I walked through the city under the gray overcast sky, heading for the bus station on the edge of town, a way out. That's all I wanted. I was standing at the bus stop, the street slick with a fresh drizzle. The digital sign across the street flickered, its surface dark for a moment between advertisements. And in that brief, black reflection, I saw it. It wasn't behind me this time. It was standing right next to me, so close I could have reached out and touched it. For the first time I saw it clearly, not as a warped image, but as it was, tall, gaunt, a distortion of the human form wrapped in shadow. And I understood. It wasn't haunting me. It was waiting for me. My hand went to my gun, the cold metal of familiar comfort. With a scream that was half sob, half rage, I drew the weapon and fired. The shots echoing into the uncaring city noise. The bullets passed through it, striking the bus shelter behind with a series of sharp cracks. The entity didn't even flinch. It just stood there. And in that final, terrifying moment of clarity, I realized my mistake. The farmer's journal, the frantic scribbles. It wasn't a sound that listened. The rusted metal in his hand. It wasn't a bell meant to be rung. It was a receiver, a calling card. And out there, in the silence between heartbeats, something had been listening all along. And now, it had finally come to answer. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more chills. See you in the next one.